There are two design principles I want to chat about today, and that's anchors and margins. The reason I pair them is because they both elevate the breathability of a design. Because whether we're communicating in writing or visually or in an experience, in a flow, we are taking someone on a journey with us. And the more intentional we can be about guiding their attention and offering these natural waypoints to stop and process what they've experienced and learned so far before taking them someplace new, the more effective our communication will be. And margins are a great boundary to put in place both for the user and for us as the designers. For the user, the boundary could be the page of the book that they're on, the t-shirt our design is on, the size of their mobile device, or the website that they're surfing. And having those literal margins within those boundaries give that literal breathing room to where their attention needs to go. It becomes hyper focused, and that means the user doesn't have to worry about taking in the information and can simply focus on the information or the idea, the visuals itself. The boundaries on our end that margins provide, it helps us not over communicate. It helps us prioritize the information that we share, ensuring that with the space provided, we are communicating what is most important. Anchors, on the other hand, can be both in how we represent the written word or how we offer visual familiarity throughout a design. It's those consistent aspects of our visual or written communication that give those natural stopping points in order to process and to know exactly where to jump back into the process. It also gives the consistency for when we are heading into new territory, at least something is familiar, and that lets the user stay with us a little longer. To see this in action, I'd love to take us into Figma and look at a case study that uses both of these principles. Let's take a look. All right. Here we are in the Farm Finder case study, something I will be revisiting quite often. I'm still in the very early stages and was just creating the user persona for who will be using this app. I knew I was going to have a mix of text, icons, and different design elements, and this is where the idea of margins and anchors really came to life for me. You'll see that the margins are pretty wide on both ends, and that was established all the way at the top of the case study and very particular for where I am sharing my portfolio. It's in Behance, which is Adobe's portfolio sharing, almost like a social media platform. And I found that in order to have all of this information seen while you are scrolling through the app, I needed to have these really large defined margins. And as soon as I started seeing that come to life, I really leaned into it, and it really helped me prioritize what information I was sharing and how to make it succinct and not feel cluttered, while also sharing everything that I did need to share. So with that already set here, I wanted to first and foremost call out a tool in Figma that took me way too long to find out, and that's these rulers, which help me stick to this margin even as I change different elements. You can see over here, each section of this portfolio is its own frame within frames within frames. And so a lot of the automatic how elements relate to each other don't jump over frames. And so if I could line something up here, for example, if I let me move this out of frame, you can see as soon as it's back into alignment with whatever surrounds it, there are a bunch of visuals that Figma gives to help guide that, but that doesn't jump over from these large frames. And so if I wanted to keep this consistent line from start to finish, I can use these rulers, and that's done by waiting until the cursor changes from the selection to these arrows. Over here on the left, it just brings out a new ruler. And then from the top as well. That is a game changer for me. And then it lets me break the rules too. If we put this ruler back in place, we can see that I was able to purposefully and very intentionally have this photo break out of the margins, but pretty much everything else is within these margins. And that brings up the point of anchors. And in this case specifically, I wanted there to be this element of fun, and yet there was something that I felt was missing. I had brought in what I'm calling another anchor, which was this arrow. And if you can take a look at previous elements, you can see that I'm leaning heavily into this arrow, not only to highlight the title of the section, but also to guide your attention to some visual aspects. And so while this is a new section, I'm using what's now a familiar tactic to my reader. So this, in a sense, is one form of an anchor. But what I wanted to do here was anchor this to the margins somehow, so that it becomes even more apparent that I'm breaking the rule for a reason. And another cool thing about Figma is if you come here, you can see that I grouped these two elements as a photo card. This is the picture that we're seeing now. But then I was able to create this outline, which I can, instead of deleting and re-adding, I can just hide and show. And so what I did here was create this frame that was not breaking the rules of the boundary. And with that, I am kind of anchoring this element into place within that margin. And so even if we take away these rulers, we still have this very harsh sense of this box that we're working within. And all of that is contained within the margins, but that almost highlights how I'm breaking the rules here with this photo. So with those two very simple things, we really get to hone in on where the attention of the reader goes, keeping some elements in place and consistent, and then that gives us the freedom to then break the rules here or there to really make it pop.